Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Like we got a few things to go over tonight, so we will get going. I hope everyone has had time to look at the minutes. Any additions or corrections? Then they stand approved. Report of Town Manager, Mr. Warner.
Thank you, Mayor Stanley, members of council. A couple of items. First one, to let everybody know and remind you that Spring Cleanup Week is scheduled to take place on April 7th through 11th. This is a semi-annual event that largely involves the pickup of bulk goods at the curbside for customers who pay the refuse collection fee. If anyone has specific questions about this, please contact the Public Works Department at 540-587-6081. And I'll conclude by noting that I am pleased to announce that James D. Moore has accepted an offer to become the next Chief of Police for the town of Bedford. Jim will be coming to us directly from the Chesterfield County Police Department, where he serves on the command staff as Leadership Development Training Coordinator. He has 36 years of professional leadership experience at all levels of law enforcement, including local, state, and federal. And just before we came to this meeting, he advised that he will be joining us on Monday, April 7th, and we will host a swearing-in ceremony in this room on that day at 10 o'clock. And that concludes my report.
All right. Thank you. Any questions for the town manager? Okay. Appearances before council. I think we have one, Mr. Jim Messier. Come on up. And if you would, Jim, just give your address and...
I shall. Jim Messier, 1621 Kingston Circle in the beautiful town of Bedford, Virginia. Mr. Mayor, Mr. Vice Mayor, members of council, staff. I'll be real brief, but I just want to talk about the subject nobody likes to talk about, and that is trash. As I was eating my eggs this morning and I went over the agenda and I saw that y'all had an action item having to do with doing away with commercial trash pickup, and I just wanted to, kind of mention, and as you're probably all well aware, that and my lens tends to be pretty much downtown Bedford, as it has been for the last 47 years. That's, I know there's lots of other businesses in Bedford that probably use this service, but I see downtown, and as any of you even driving up here would realize, that downtown's in a pretty rough state right now. So the thought being that if we had to either negotiate with private or haul our own trash or deal with that, it's just one more burden on the backs of the businesses that are doing everything we can to provide you all adequate tax dollars to keep us all operating. I talked to one council member today and I said, I will never come with a problem or without a solution. And one of the solutions, at least downtown, and I don't know how far this went, but many of you will remember that we used to have curbside recycling. And so recycling used to be picked up in town on Tuesdays, and trash was picked up on Fridays, or it could be reversed. Currently, we have trash pickup on Tuesday morning and Friday morning. I think most businesses could probably operate with one day of trash pickup. So if it becomes a manpower or it's going to be generating the same amount of trash, but it does mean, and what I read in the agenda was, it was a manpower issue. So that could certainly help to alleviate some of that on the front end. So, like I said, I think you all know that I'm always here to help any way I can to better our town. But I think this service is something that's pretty important, and if it's a matter of manpower, there's one solution. If it's a matter of dollars, I hope we can find some other way to balance that budget. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Jim. Appreciate it. All right, council comments. Since I overlooked two last meeting. I'm going to start on your end. Jay, what you got?
Glad to see all y'all here tonight. Jim, appreciate you coming up to talk. It's good to see a nice crowd here. Pretty much, that's it.
Thank y'all for attending tonight. Look forward to the meeting.
I just want to thank everybody for attending and thank everybody that come and I wish we had crowds like this all the time when we had council meetings. It would be great, but thank you for being here tonight.
Got nothing, what's already been said. Thank y'all for being here.
Same here. Thank y'all for coming.
Dave?
Like ditto, huh? Like ditto. Not ditto. The only other thing I'd add is I like to see some of the young folks here, so I like seeing the young folks. That's cool.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming.
All right, again, I welcome everyone here tonight. I'm glad to see the crowd. I see the former mayor back in the back there playing high. Where's Waldo? He's back there. I don't have much to say tonight other than I do want to take a moment to congratulate Ann Cantrell. Some of you have heard her recent achievement. And I'm just going to read a little short clip of it. It's from the Government Finance Officers Association, and this is in Chicago, Illinois. Dear Ann, I'm pleased to announce that you have been selected as the 2025 recipient of the Government Finance Officers Association, the Betty Jo Harker Professional Development Scholarship. Our scholarship committee was impressed with your academic achievements, your course concentration at Liberty University, and your other accomplishments. Your desire to dedicate your many talents to work in government is to be commended. Thank you, Ann. We appreciate it. We are very fortunate to have Ann on our staff. She is very multi-talented. And she has unofficially assured me she loves her job here. She likes it here. So any other localities that are listening, don't waste your time here.
That's right.
And that is all I have. Report of council committees, we have none. Revisions to agenda. All right, public hearings.
Notice is hereby given that the Town Council of the Town of Bedford, Virginia at 7:00 p.m. on Tuesday, March 25th, 2025, will hold a public hearing at the Council Hall to consider a budget amendment to the fiscal year 2025 adopted budget for appropriation of prior year reserves in the amount of $1,725,016 towards the upcoming purchase of fire apparatus and an appropriation of $409,245 additional transportation funding towards eligible paving and stormwater improvement projects. A copy of the detailed budget amendment request has been available for inspection by the public in the office of the clerk, and the notice has been duly published, and tonight anyone who wishes to speak to the matter is welcome to do so.
All right, I will open the public hearing up at this moment. Anyone that would like to come and speak on behalf of it, you are welcome to come. I see no movement, so I will now close the hearing. Yeah, that was pretty simple. All right, consent agenda. Mr. Warner.
There's a request to close streets from the Bedford Boys Tribute Center for a wreath laying ceremony in front of the county courthouse on Friday, June 6, 2025, and to close the following streets: North Bridge Street from the red light east to South Street at 5:45 p.m. to 7:15 p.m. Bedford Boys Tribute Center will notify the fire department, police department, and Bedford County Fire and Rescue of the street closings. As part of the consent agenda, Town Council is requested to approve the above referenced street closing.
So moved.
Second. All right. Motion made by Councilman Haley, second by Councilman Foreman. Roll call.
Mr. Evans?
Aye.
Mr. Foreman?
Aye.
Mr. Foster?
Aye.
Mr. Haley?
Aye.
Mr. Ippolito?
Aye.
Mr. Updike?
Aye.
Mayor Stanley?
Aye.
Motion carries with all members voting aye.
And next, we have a proclamation for the National Crime Victims' Rights Week. I will read the proclamation, then come down and make this presentation. It's okay. Okay, good. All right, proclamation, National Crime Victims' Rights Week 2025, Kinship, Connection, and Healing. Whereas crime affects individuals, families, and communities in profound and varied ways, often leaving lasting physical, emotional, and social challenges. And whereas the concept of kinship underscores the connections that build bridges to support, services, and shared strength among survivors, advocates, and communities. And whereas kinship is the foundation of victim advocacy, inspiring trauma-informed care that meets survivors where they are. And whereas through kinship, we build peer networks, community alliances that empower survivors, foster resilience, and offer pathways to healing. And whereas kinship reminds us of the strength that comes from connection, the importance of listening to every voice, and the power we have to create lasting change when we work together. Now therefore, I, C.J. Stanley, Mayor of Bedford, Virginia, do proclaim the week of April 6th through 12, 2025 as Crime Victims' Rights Week in Bedford, Virginia. This proclamation reaffirms our dedication to building connections, standing in kinship with survivors, and creating a future where healing and hope are within reach for everyone. In witness thereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the town of Bedford to be affixed this 25th day of March, 2025. C.J. Stanley, Mayor. What you might have taken over there.
You did good, Mayor.
Thank you. We tried. You're sticking me straight. All right, where are we? Fiscal 25 budget amendment for fire apparatus replacement.
As part of the fiscal year 2026 budget process, fire departments submitted the remaining costs associated with the purchase of the Ladder 1 replacement and the Engine 1 replacement. Cost to replace Ladder 1 is $2,249,587, and the total cost to replace Engine 1 is $1,195,880. Bedford County has agreed to fund $857,387 towards Ladder 1 and $777,463 towards Engine 1. The remaining costs to be covered by the town would be $1,392,200 for Ladder 1 and $418,417 for Engine 1. The town has $955,107 of assigned fund balance dedicated to the replacement of fire apparatus and has current year funding of $85,601 in the capital fund. The assigned fund balance has not been moved to the capital fund and is still included in the general fund. Staff would recommend for council to consider a budget amendment to transfer funding for the purchase of fire apparatus as detailed below. Tonight, Town Council is requested to consider approval of the below budget amendment, which will appropriate budget to the general ledger accounts as follows: an increase in the revenue line item identified as prior year fund balance of $1,725,016, an increase in the revenue line item identified as transfer in from the general fund to the capital fund of $1,725,016, an increase in the expenditure line item entitled Transfer to General Capital Projects of $1,725,016, an increase in the capital expenditure line item identified as Engine 1 replacement of $393,417, and an increase in the capital expenditure line item entitled Pumper/Ladder Truck of $1,331,599.
All right. Do we hear a motion?
So moved. Second.
Motion by Councilman Haley, second by Councilman Updike, or Vice Mayor Updike. Discussion. Only discussion I had, I think I asked you earlier, I know we voted on the ladder trucking last January to approve that. I don't remember us making a motion to approve the engine. That's one you said it would clarify if we just vote on it like this.
Yeah, I'm not sure we have discussed that, but that is part of the capital program, so it would be
Yeah.
appropriate to do it tonight.
Okay, because it was in the CPI budget for 2027 to replace both ladder and engine or whatever, so.
Yeah, and basically, we're encumbering the funds towards that purchase.
Okay, just want to clarify.
And when we voted on it, we voted to have this 955,000 set aside, is that correct? And then, but it's still in the general fund, needs to be moved?
It's been assigned, so when I came here, it was an assigned fund balance for public safety for the fire truck. So I would assume that it had been set aside for multiple years, but we've continued to assign it for that purpose since I've been here. Assigned fund balance typically does not mean council took action. So when council takes action, we call it a committed fund balance. It's just an accounting terminology, but assigned is typically done at a staff level. So this brings a higher authority to restricting that money.
Thank you.
Anything else? Ready for roll call? Okay, Charlotte?
Mr. Foreman,
Aye.
Mr. Foster,
Aye.
Mr. Haley,
Aye.
Mr. Ippolito,
Aye.
Mr. Updike,
Aye.
Mr. Evans,
Aye.
Mayor Stanley.
Aye.
Motion carries with all members voting aye.
All right. Fiscal year 25, budget amendment for additional VDOT funding.
At the development of the fiscal year 2025 budget, the increased allocation for street and highway maintenance was still unknown. Based on the final amounts, which are now known, the town will receive an additional $409,245 in fiscal year 25 beyond the current revenue budget. The Virginia Department of Transportation revenue can only be spent on eligible street and highway maintenance items. The town staff would like to propose the following allocation. Add $177,000 towards current paving commitments above the current budget. Add $182,000 to further include the North Hill subdivision, and add $40,000 for the Railroad Avenue Stormwater Project. The allocated funding needs to be spent in projects completed on or before June 30th, 2025 to meet the VDOT reporting deadline. Tonight, Town Council is requested to approve the below budget amendment, which will appropriate budget to the general ledger accounts as follows: an increase in the revenue line item entitled Street and Highway Maintenance of $409,245, and an increase in the expenditure line item entitled Blacktop of $359,245, and an increase in the expenditure line item entitled Storm Drainage Projects of $50,000.
All right, do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All right. Vice Mayor Updike made the motion and Councilman Evans seconded it. Discussion? Questions? I think this is pretty well self-explanatory. All right.
Mr. Foster,
Aye.
Mr. Haley,
Aye.
Mr. Ippolito,
Aye.
Mr. Updike,
Aye.
Mr. Evans,
Aye.
Mr. Foreman,
Aye.
Mayor Stanley.
Aye.
Motion carries with all members voting aye.
Performance Agreement Extension Request 3.
D-Day Omstay LLC is requesting a third extension of the performance agreement with the Town Council and Town Economic Development Authority, or EDA. The original performance agreement is dated June 15, 2023. A subsequent First Amendment performance agreement dated January 23, 2024 was executed when the Hampton brand provided a new hotel model after the developer had begun architectural work. That amendment extended the term of the first performance agreement for building footers by 6 months and the project completion date by 5 months. A second amended performance agreement dated August 18, 2024 was executed due to engineering plans that showed the need for an additional 8 feet of grading fill to be brought to the site. The additional time to acquire the fill dirt and for compaction for footers was considered in the approval of an extension of 6 months from September 30, 2024 to March 31, 2025 for the performance measure of having footers poured. The request for an additional 8 months of time for the final performance date change from December 31, 2025 to August 30, 2026 was also granted. As a continuation of the above fill dirt situation brought on by winter weather and unforeseen site soil conditions, the developers request a third extension of the footer performance measure and the final completion dates at this time. The request is to extend the footer performance date from March 31, 2025 to September 30, 2025 for a period of 6 months, and to extend the final completion date from August 31, 2025 to December 31, 2026, a period of 4 months. Sorry, this,
Typo. Sorry. That would have been August 31, 2026.
thank you. An extension of 4 months. The developer has provided a letter of request that includes a summary of work performed to date. After a presentation to the EDA by the developer on March 14, 2025, the EDA approved the amendments to the performance agreement and included a recommendation that Town Council do the same. The text that is proposed to change from the second amended agreement is as follows. 1. Section 2.d of the performance agreement is amended to remove the words March 31, 2025 and insert in its place September 30, 2025. 2. The definition of performance date in Section 4 of the performance agreement is amended to remove the words August 30, 2026 and insert in its place December 31, 2026. Tonight, Town Council is requested to approve the third amendment to the performance agreement.
Mr. Patel, would you like to come up and speak to us first?
Well, thank you for having us, esteemed members of the Town Council, Vice Mayor, Mayor, and the staff, as always. Before I get started on the request, I'd like to give an update on the progress. We have done considerable amount. I don't know if you guys have had the opportunity to check it out, but we've done the land preparation. What I mean by that is clearing the site of all the trees, resurveying with the stakes. We've got the electrical relocation done by the town of Bedford. We've also done the Chantel pole relocation, which honestly was a shocker to me that we had to relocate that one. And then we got some erosion control done. So what I mean by that is installing the silt fence around so to make sure that we keep our site clean from the outside. And then we started taking this topsoil out, which unfortunately came to more than what we expected. And we have made the gravel road to make sure that it keeps clean. And I know we had an issue on the first day, but other than that, I think we've been pretty spotless. And we've worked on the stormwater management side with the detention pond. We've made it significantly large to accommodate the need of dirt, as well as to fit the criteria in the plans. And we've done the geotechnical evaluation by the ECS to help us understand what the compact ratio of the dirt currently was before we did the grading and stuff, and then also currently doing the compact ratio for the mass fill that we're doing, because we're doing about 7.5 to 13 feet of fill throughout the pad site itself. And we also had to, so I'm gonna get into challenges a little bit here. We had to get a lot more dirt because of the fact we found there was kind of a soft spot. So when a truck went over like the pad, there was a spot where it just sunk 3 feet and just like started going. So we're like, you know, that's not a good thing to build our pad on. You know, great logic there. So what we did is we undercut it 3 to 5 feet to get rid of that dirt that wasn't suitable for layering on for the pad and make it structurally sound and compact. And then, so because we took 3 to 5 feet of dirt we already needed. So we had to add now we need about 2,000 to 2,500 cubic feet of dirt, yards. And so that's what comes out to about 20 to 25 truckloads, just a little bit of dirt. But that's not the only issue we ran into. We also had the great weather we had in the winter. The snow was quite exceptional. And we also had the rain. So what the issue with rain and snow is, it doesn't just stop when the rain or snow ends. It also stays in the ground for a while, not just a day, but maybe 2 to 3 days. And that constantly causes delays. Not large ones at first, but small ones incrementally. And then there's the ongoing soil sampling. So what we had to do was, because there's increase in mass fill, we had to get the soil sampled. Because of the soil being soft in certain areas on the undercut, we had to also make sure that the base soil is good in those reasons before we can start filling it up as well. And we're gonna have delays because of that.
That's right. I would say projected time frame. That's what we all wanted to see, that, you know, when and what's going to happen. And the way it looks like right now, we are going to see that the fill of the whole dirt will be done in almost 60 days. So within 2 months, we should see everything filled up to the level between 12 to 13 feet high from where it was before. Then the way it is done is the ECS is the geotechnical company who we hired to stamp on this to give us a guarantee. So they want the site to have 30 days of a natural state, in the sense, let the sand and the dirt settle down if there is an issue, because the hotel will be on it. So 30 days, they can't do anything until that. It will just let it sit down and just do that. So we need 30 days for that. So that's 3 months right there. After that, the 30 days will be for the cutting inside and getting the utilities and pad and pipes and storm management done. And then for footing, for foam installation and reinforcement and pouring concrete, 30 days to create that whole things in. And then that's 5 months, and we are asking just 30 days buffer so that we don't have to come back and have that at least footer once started and have that going. So with that said, so we are asking an extension for up till September 30, 2025 for the pouring of footers, and the end date for completion December 2026.
All right, what question you all have for Mr. Patel? You know, I was in the EDA meeting, and I heard this, and I understand. I mean, these type projects, rarely do they keep the same timeline. There are always delays of some kind, roadblocks. You just don't know what you're getting into. So I fully understand where you're coming from. Of course, I hate it, we all do, but that's the nature of the beast, isn't it? Yeah.
It is.
Yes. All right. Y'all?
Good.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, do I hear a motion?
Yeah.
All right, second?
Second.
All right. Councilman Ippolito made the motion, and Councilman Foster seconded the motion. So, Sean?
Mr. Haley?
Aye.
Mr. Ippolito?
Aye.
Mr. Updike?
Aye.
Mr. Evans?
Aye.
Mr. Foreman?
Aye.
Mr. Foster?
Aye.
Mayor Stanley?
Aye.
Motion carries with all members voting aye.
Request for electric costs to serve funding assistance. Mr. Warner.
D-Day Omstay LLC is requesting assistance with reducing the Bedford electric cost to serve fee that will provide electric service to the new hotel site at Burks Hill Road and Tiger Trail. The cost estimate from October 2024 is $65,328.05 in order to reroute service on the site for the hotel building and to add needed electric infrastructure to serve the hotel. Of that previous estimated cost, $46,187.65 is for materials, and labor costs are $19,140.40. The estimate includes one transformer, which was authorized to be ordered at a recent council meeting. There is also a separate cost from Chantel to relocate their coaxial and fiber infrastructure to Bedford Electric poles in the amount of $15,100. The developer is responsible for that cost. Bedford Electric has already removed 2 poles and added 3 on site and ran underground primary lines to transfer service. Chantel has completed their relocation work as well. Town Council is requested to consider the developer's request for reducing or waiving the cost to serve provided by Bedford Electric. This action was tabled from December 10th, 2024 on a motion and second by 2 current council members.
So, and Mr. Warner, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Warner had talked to me a little bit beforehand about what we need to do procedurally to take this motion from the table. It sounds like, so if this was December meeting that this was discussed, it really was actually a motion to postpone, which is, motion to table actually dies if it's not brought up in the next meeting. So I think we can just discuss it, treat the motion, the previous motion as a motion to postpone, and just discuss it as a new action item.
Good. Business as usual, just move forward, okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Patel, would you want to come back up? And give us your insight?
Yes, so when we were talking about this project, we had in-person meeting with the staff, and it was conveyed that the transformer and electric pole relocation work will be taken care while the town of Bedford owns both kind of a thing. We wanted to formally bring on paper so that we don't have surprises at the end. We already took care of the Chantel, which is, outside the things, which is 15,000, and we do have a dirt and other expenses we did, including from Hampton Inn to Hampton Inn and Suites and other expenses, which it's in kind of a couple of million dollars worth project has increased. So we are requesting that what was formally taught, if we can put it on paper, that this amount and the transformer will be provided.
Any questions for Mr. Patel? Comments? I will say from my perspective, I know things have been slow. And as I said earlier, these type projects incur delays. It's inevitable. And especially one of this magnitude. It's hard at times to get off the ground. And there's where you're having your little issues with the dirt, the site survey, and all that came into play there. I will say, I've been involved in the utility industry for a good part of my life, and you're probably already getting a slight discount as we speak on the electrical side. And that I know materials have increased, labor will increase, so this estimate that you've been given is probably in a few months will be a lowball figure. And they will probably also incur delays, setbacks. Something like this usually goes wrong. Something's hooked up that's not right, or a pole has to be moved. That's just on your side. It's the nature of the business. It happens. Of course, I think I speak for a lot of people when I say I'm kind of waiting to see results, and I'm sure you're wanting to do the same.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yes. And we're really early into this, but at this point, I can't see waiving any of that. But what do the rest of you all think?
I agree with you because, I think that when you get done, everything will be a great project for the town and stuff like that. But at the present moment in time, I can't move forward with this figure right here because, like I said, things might change, something might come up, it might be back again. So I think right now,
we've passed the, third extension or whatever. I think once that, we see some results, I think then maybe we can come back and revisit this later down the road.
I think I'm sort of in agreement with Councilman Haley. We are totally behind, what you guys want to accomplish. I think we just, kind of want to see a little bit more before we give a little more. It's kind of where we are. It's kind of where I am. I'm not going to speak for the rest of them.
So are we saying we're just gonna push it down again?
We vote.
Well, we don't have any motion yet, so.
I mean, we can make a motion to sustain, what's the word?
Postpone.
Propone, yeah.
No, we vote on this right
Yeah,
here.
we're voting on this.
Yes
right
or
here,
no?
Whether to move forward or not.
Well, there is no motion right now.
Right, yeah, there is no motion on the table right now.
Yeah, so we could make a motion to postpone, correct?
You could make a motion to postpone, yes, that's something, you could do that. But
So what would we postpone to review this at a later time, or?
Yeah, I think that's what Councilman Haley was
Just
mentioning.
table the motion at the moment, and then we can come back and revisit the motion somewhere down the road, so.
Postpone it, not table it.
No,
So I think, if what I'm hearing from council is correct, it sounds like this particular proposal, you're not willing to consider at this time. You might be open to a future proposal in the future. I would, so if that's the case, or if it's more that you want to consider this specific proposal at some future time, but not tonight, then it really would be a true motion to postpone. I just think you need to figure, whoever makes the motion needs to figure out, what am I actually figuring out? What do I want to say?
I would be in favor of voting on this, yea or nay, and then later, once we see progress, then if you want to come back to us, you're more than welcome to.
Okay.
My question is, if we vote no on this, they can't bring this back again, correct? Or can they bring the same request back?
They could.
Okay.
Yeah. And I will just note for council, this specific request to waive these types of costs would have to run through the EDA. So there probably, down the line, there probably would have to be some communication between the council and the EDA about how we go about that.
Yeah. And that would be fine.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be fine. I just
Yeah.
So this one hasn't gone through EDA then, is it?
No,
Okay.
it's not.
And the only reason that is when you're granting these types of incentives to a private entity, the town is not able to do that, the EDA can. Statutory rights.
Okay. So are we okay with the up or down vote on this and then?
Yeah, well, I think we have to, since it
Yeah,
hasn't gone to
correct.
EDA.
That's what I'm thinking, yeah. Y'all okay with that? All right. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Councilman Updike made the motion.
Second. What is the motion? I'm sorry, what is the motion?
Motion would be
To vote on this
as it's written.
as it is written. As you
So it'll
read.
be a motion to approve the request?
The motion would be to approve the request,
Thank you.
and then we will vote accordingly.
Just wanted to be sure, make
Oh,
sure I
yeah,
get it right.
yeah.
Thank you.
Like we normally do.
Thank you.
All right, who seconded it? I did. Councilman Haley made the second. All right, Sean?
Mr. Ippolito? Mr. Updike?
No.
Mr. Evans?
No.
Mr. Foreman?
No.
Mr. Foster?
No.
Mr. Haley?
No.
And Mayor Stanley?
No.
Motion fails with all members voting no.
All right, move it on down. Commercial solid waste collection.
As discussed at the February 22nd, 2025 work session, town staff are finding it more challenging to provide an optimal level of residential solid waste collection service in light of the recent expansion of town boundaries, as well as the growing number of subdivision developments that are being approved. The Town's provision of solid waste collection services to commercial/non-residential customers compounds this issue. Additionally, the town is effectively competing against other interests who could potentially provide commercial/non-residential solid waste collection service in a more cost-efficient manner for customers. Staff is proposing that the town withdraw from the commercial/non-residential solid waste collection business, but continue to provide such service to its residential customers. This is reflected within the fiscal year 25-26 budget as currently proposed, which would take effect July 1, 2025. To provide ample notice to the businesses that may be affected, we feel that it would be appropriate for council to make a statement affirming this specific change in operation and service level. Really, what we'd like is to have a robust and very open discussion of the factors involved for the benefit of our citizens and businesses. And let me mention a couple of key dates coming up. This is a budget-driven discussion and is something we're dealing with in the budget. The budget document will be presented at the April 22nd council meeting, the full budget, electric fund and general fund, which we're still working on. And the public hearing on the budget would be May 13th. And I'll make a comment. Typically, we don't get many people who show up for our public hearing on the budget when that's probably the single most important public hearing we ever have. So as we discuss the rationale that we're asking council to provide us with direction, note that this will be presented in April 22nd, and public will get a chance to comment on it May 13th. But since it is complicated, both for the businesses as well as staff who would have to deal with the change, we want to make sure that everybody's fully aware of it. So if that wasn't clear in the presentation, I apologize for that, but that's the intent.
Why don't we go ahead and have a discussion at this time? Any questions?
You really don't have to take action unless you want to tell us.
Right.
Unless you take action, we will proceed with eliminating this as part of the budget proposal.
Yes, right. So what questions do we have?
Well, I mean, one, what does it cost the town to do commercial pickup, and what is the fee that we collect?
Let me start off. There are a lot of factors related to the cost. We have an agreement as part of the reversion settlement that says the town has the right to take all of its residential refuse to the county landfill at no charge. I will report that since that agreement's been in place, the county has been placing a surcharge and sending that to us because they claim that we are commingling non-residential and residential waste, and we have no way to quantify that. So from an operational perspective, we're no longer in the non-residential business. Obviously, there's no justification for a surcharge, which kind of gets at the heart of the reversion agreement, but that's one aspect. The other costs behind this, the main cost for being involved in commercial trash collection then for us becomes transferring it somewhere else. The town owns and operates its own transfer station on site. We then transport our trash to Pittsylvania County because they have the lowest current tipping fees. Those tipping fees are likely to increase because Pittsylvania County has realized what a good deal they're giving everybody. And so we're probably faced with a percentage increase in that we would have to transfer to customers. Also, our operating costs alone are about $319,000 a year. We recover a revenue of $81,000. For commercial trash pickup, right now, as of today's figures, our cost per can is about $152. The revenue we collect monthly is $33. Conversely, residential right now costs us $19 per account to collect, and we collect $25. However, we are aware of about 400 residential housing units that have been approved that can be constructed at any given time. We made it through the annexation and absorbed phase 2, breaking even pretty much, but we're kind of at the limit of that as well. So really, it's a manpower issue, it's a budget issue. Oh, the other thing is, we do have an arrangement with a private hauler from our transfer station to Pittsylvania County where they commingle the trash they collect with ours and cover the transportation costs. So I guess, Councilman Foreman, to answer your question, commercial trash service is both very complicated and highly leveraged in terms of its current costs, and we're running into the limits of those negotiations.
And tonight, we're just giving you or staff the authority to go this route and look into.
It would still be a proposal, and it would go forward. It would be presented April 22nd.
Yes.
There'd be a public hearing May 13th.
Right.
But that's not a lot of time for people to make other plans,
Yeah.
No.
including staff.
Right.
I do have another question, Mayor.
Go ahead.
So would it be appropriate, since we have the businesses in town, for the town to negotiate with a private organization to do this? If we could negotiate with them, would that be appropriate?
I'm going to defer to Mr. Hoffman. I think we have to go through procurement.
Procurement, yeah, they can do an RFP.
Short answer is yes.
Okay.
Yeah, certainly if by negotiation we mean submit an RFP and
Yeah,
getting bid.
yeah.
Absolutely, yeah, sure. In fact, I'm county attorney for Bath County. We did that in Bath County last year or the year before.
So that'd be one way I'm thinking we could serve our businesses still by doing an RFP to get it done.
Yeah. And I think,
And we will commence that activity immediately anyway, I'll tell you.
I think one of the comments I heard is, or was thought is that they would have to arrange it on their own. That's not the case.
I'm sorry, what was it?
That the businesses would have to arrange their own trash pickup.
Effectively, they would. If we withdraw from the service, that's just a withdrawal, and they would have to find somebody else. I will say, and I have to respect some severe boundaries here, I am aware that there are private haulers who would provide the same level of service at least the same cost. However, there's still a convenience factor that would impact everybody.
And we would pursue that and look into that.
If we procure that, we could manage those terms and probably handle that through a franchise fee. Probably.
Okay, so that's when I'm making sure that we don't leave anybody hanging around to dry.
And that's the primary purpose. Again, this is a significant change in service.
Yes.
And as we've talked in our work sessions, we'll talk publicly, we are being forced to do things differently. We cannot continue to operate in the same manner at the same cost because the business models have changed.
I mean, I'm okay with the concept as long as we have someone in place once we get to July 1, or if not, then we'll proceed as usual. Okay. Am I making sense there?
Yes.
So essentially, what we're saying is we're gonna provide we're gonna see if we can have somebody provide the service.
I think we're saying we're going to contract it out.
Yeah,
Look at
contract it
contracting it out. And then there are some long-term considerations related to the transfer station, but those could be initiated as well.
And it could possibly be condensed down into the light bill like it is now, and then we can.
We could work that out in the RFP. Yeah.
So my question is, just so I can verify, so if Zastrin requests it, it says such activity will be all effective at council due date July the 1st.
If we get out of the business effective with the budget cycle, that hits everybody July 1st.
But if we have public hearing and we vote on it again, I bring it out for the public hearing, and if it doesn't pass, it don't take effect, correct?
That's true, but it would be included in the budget ordinance, and that part would have to be amended. But we will certainly pursue the contract route.
If we reduce the service, like what came up in public comment, if we reduce the service to 1 day a week, would that help meet ends, or would that not quite?
I'm going to respond hypothetically that, okay, if it resulted in a 50% savings, we'd still be spending $75 a month and collecting 33.
Understood.
So we're still out of balance. And again, the manpower issue is significant, and I don't want to downplay that, but it's the transfer station liability that's really affecting us.
So I get this, so I can get this right. So we're looking at possibly the town contracting it out, and then we just bill the customer for whatever it breaks out on contract. That's kind of what we're talking about.
That's my understanding, but if I misunderstand, please tell me.
No, that's kind of was my thinking, yes.
And if we don't get a competitive rate, then we go back to the drawing board.
We would issue an RFP, and we would bring the successful bidder back to you as part of that process to award a contract. And that would be reflected in the budget.
Okay.
And we're going to have to include some language related to the transfer station as part of that process too.
Well, the only point I wanted to make is that it goes to what the town manager is talking about, I think, is that, I mean, I want to provide, it's a service to our customers, but we're getting to a point where we are going to have some, we've talked about before, have some hard discussions on levels of service. It's just, we can't continue to try to collect $25 when it's costing us $150 to do business. And that's just the nature of the beast, unfortunately, right now. And that's the way it just, so I think it's important that Jim came and talked to us, and that Bill's here and everything as well. But we need to have these discussions amongst ourselves and having participation to let us know what level of service is acceptable, because there's going to become a time where we're going to have, not only on this topic, but on others as well. And that's just kind of what
Dave, you're exactly right. And we as a council have talked about that. It's a lot of, well, not a lot, but a few things that will need to be reviewed. But you're right. That's my focus here, and that I don't want any of the businesses to be left with nobody to pick the trash out. I want to be sure something is in place to carry on, whether it's us or another outside vendor. And I think that's kind of what we had discussed in our work sessions in various times. But yeah, when we're paying more than we're collecting, I mean, that's business 101. You've got to look at other alternatives, and I agree with it.
So my only question is, do we need to approve this, or can we just give you a?
I think I understand your consensus, and let me repeat back to you that we're still looking to reduce the expenditures in solid waste by addressing the commercial operation. The manner in which we intend to do that is to assign it to a private entity who can provide it at a price that does not gouge our current customers and provides the same level of service. But that entity is also going to have to take over some liabilities related to the transfer station operation. And we will start tomorrow drafting an RFP to turn that around pretty darn quickly. That's what I understand your direction to be, unless I've misunderstood.
Yeah, and I think they'll be.
Is that the motion we make for this?
You don't even need to make a motion. It's
more to come.
And again, essentially, since it impacts so many people, it's one of those things where we realized we can't wait till May 13th to let people talk to us about it. And the process has to be.
And I would also welcome input from any of the businesses, get their thoughts and opinions also. Go good?
Yep.
Okay. All right, go hear a motion.
I've got my marching orders. If you want to make a motion, you can, but it's not necessary.
If you do make the motion, I think the motion should be not necessarily to approve or deny what's on this paper.
Authorize an RFP?
Exactly. I think that probably would be appropriate.
Okay, I'll make a motion to have the staff create an RFP.
For commercial solid
trash.
waste collection and transfer station operation services.
Yeah, okay.
Thank
You're good for that? Okay. Second?
Second.
Councilman, excuse me, Vice Mayor Updike made the second. All right, Sean.
Mr. Updike?
Aye.
Mr. Evans?
Aye.
Mr. Foreman?
Aye.
Mr. Foster?
Aye.
Mr. Haley?
Aye.
Mr. Ippolito?
Aye.
Mayor Stanley?
Aye.
Motion carries with all members voting aye.
All right, last thing on the agenda is closed session pursuant to section 2.2-3711A1 of the Code of Virginia of 1950 as amended to discuss personnel matters. We'll hear a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Haley made the motion and Vice Mayor Updike seconded it.
I'd like Ms.
provides that, one, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements by Virginia law were discussed in the closed meeting to which this certification resolution applies, and two, only such business matters as were identified in the motion convening the closed meeting were heard, discussed, or considered by the council.
Your motion. Councilman Haley, and who? Second?
Yeah.
Councilman Evans, seconded the motion. Roll call.
Mr. Updike?
Aye.
Mr. Evans?
Aye.
Mr. Foreman?
Aye.
Mr. Foster?
Aye.
Mr. Haley?
Aye.
Mr. Ippolito? Mayor Stanley?
Aye.
Motion carries with all members voting aye.
I am adjourning this meeting till April the 8th at 5:30. Go home.
Goodbye.